Now it's time for season 5 of Degrassi Next Generation. After the first 4 went through some stuff, they got to season 5. This season 5 started on September 19th, 2005 and ended March 20th, 2006. It had 19 episodes. Basically, they had to deal with body image issues, Manny, teenage pregnancy, Liberty and JT, drug dealing, well, that's JT, coming out, that'd be Marco, sexual identity, Paige and Alex, religion, Darcy, probably, eating disorders, Emma, and relationships, Emma and Peter. Season 5 was on Mondays at 8:30 on CTV. In the United States, it was 8 o'clock on Mondays. They said the 5th season was the most successful season to date, averaging 767,000 viewers in Canada per episode, and had one episode by a million viewers. It received praise for its depiction of a relationship between two gay characters, but mixed reviews for the issue of anorexia and bulimia. Paige ended up in the most episodes with 15, whereas Maddie and JT and Toby and Marco all hit 14. So, yeah, I think JT, by the way, is my pick as the MVP. Because, of JT's storyline and all that. The anti-hero is Peter. So, anyway, the second episode of the season hit the million mark. They said a 2-part episode aired to coincide with Canadian National Eating Disorder Awareness Week. Earned mixed reviews. It says, thankfully, the show moves far away from the health class idea that anorexia and bullying stem from self-conscious genes. It displaces the ugly disease that it truly is. All aspects of the story is done. And all that. Of course, they had the gay characters, of Paige and Alex. Okay, so the first episode was a 2-parter called Venus. In a pursuit to be a Hollywood actress, Mandy decides to try to get plastic surgery after a casting agent criticizes her weight, and it doesn't sit well for her parents. Meanwhile, Craig's birthday is coming up, and Ellie's trying to hide the fact that Ashley has a new boyfriend and is staying in London. By the way, this is Jamie Johnson's first appearance as Peter Stone. Part 2 of Venus says that when Manny rejects him, Peter releases the video of Manny flashing her breasts to the entire student body, which causes her life to fall apart. Meanwhile, Ellie and Craig are still mad at each other. When Ellie becomes Downtown Sasquatch's new drummer. Basically, Peter was upset that Manny rejected him. But Manny was trying to get Peter to be with Emma and all that. So unfortunately, Manny's parents basically kick her to the curb. Well, her father. I think it was to do with the breast flashing and the plastic surgery and all that, but we don't really know that. Emma takes her in and basically tells Manny some strict rules about staying at the place, and basically they tell each other no secrets between each other. Death of a disco dancer comes up. Paige has her own future planned out. She's going to the best Canadian university, that being Banty. She will be with Mr. O, and everything will be perfect until Mr. O comes back from the Yukon, a changed man. Meanwhile, Jimmy is proud to be the new basketball coach, but Derek, in his first appearance, causes trouble. Foolin is when JT and Liberty still together, but unfortunately, Liberty lets it spill that she's 4 months pregnant. So basically, Spinner and Darcy decide to date, but Spinner is worried about how Darcy will handle his involvement in the school shooting and all that. Next is wedding parties, anything. Downtown Sasquatch has a wedding gig, and Craig decides to put all the focus on music. But Manny and Ellie want to have Craig's attention. Strange how Manny always goes for Craig. Craig later forgave Manny for the abortion of their child. Meanwhile, Joey has a date with the bride's sister, but wonders if he's too old for her when he overhears friends gossiping about him. So anyway, next is, I still haven't found what I'm looking for. Jimmy decides to try out for the national wheelchair basketball team, even though he wants to concentrate on his arm because of his father's urging all that. I think that's when Jimmy basically yells at his dad for his affair. Meanwhile, Liberty and JT try to prevent Danny from spilling the beans about their kid. But unfortunately, that's not good. So anyway, Liberty and JT are back together. The 7 episodes turned out. Liberty and JT are back together and looking to buy an apartment, but with no income, JT resorts to stealing and selling drugs to a dealer. He finds himself in a prescription, like as a pharmaceutical assistant, and basically Jay tells him that he can earn bank by selling drugs and all that. Meanwhile, Emma, tired of being a third wheel to Manny and Craig, wants to go on a date with Derek, but she wants to be with Peter. Why, I don't know. Part 2 of Turned Out is that JT learns that getting out of the drug dealing business is dangerous as he travels down a path of self-destruction that could cause him to lose the people about who he cares the most. My guess is that, and that Snake faces similar obstacles when he feels he's not happy. I don't know why. So anyway, JT, of course, is told by Liberty to stop selling drugs and all that. And JT tries to get out of it, but he can't. So he decides to take drugs to try to end his life because he knows he's in deep trouble. Thankfully, though, JT fails miserably, even though Liberty decides to break it off with JT and decides to have have the baby put up for adoption. Tell It to My Heart is when Marco faces his own reality while trying to help Tim out and actually decides to come out to his father. Emma actually likes the attention Peter gives her, even though it would hurt Manny, because, Emma was just looking for love. Redemption Song was a nice one. The 1-year anniversary of the school shooting opens up old wounds for everyone involved. Spitter goes to Darcy with the Friendship Club's retreat, but deals with his demons and Jay. And Jimmy has to choose what direction he wants to when it comes to Hazel and Ellie. So anyway, we get the Lexicon of Love. That's when Jane and Silent Bob Go Canadian A basically premieres in theaters. Alex and Paige decide to enjoy each other's company more than they should, so that's kind of a weird relationship. Meanwhile, Emma, on a date with Peter, discovers another secret couple at the premiere, Snake and Hatzalakos. And then in part 2, Alex and Paige are still confused about what happened the night before, and Kevin Smith helps Paige deal with the sexuality. Meanwhile, Emma decides to tell her mother about what she saw, because that's what Emma does. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out. Well, Spike kicks Snake to the curb only because, it's because they pressured Emma to keep it a secret. Together Forever has a thing when Downtown Sasquatch, Craig's band, has a shot at a record deal. But basically, Craig is the only one they like. And Liberty prepares to give birth while dealing with school stresses. Next is Eye Against Eye. Basically, Spinner and Marco's friendship is at odds when they basically tell Spinner that he can't be friends with Marco, so Spinner has to make it her choice. Meanwhile, Spike's friends visit her to cheer her up on what would have been her and Snake's 3rd anniversary. And then, of course, we get Our Lips Are Sealed. Joey's final episode is this one. Emma's life is in chaos. She's losing control. She tries to find a solution when she and Manny go on a strict diet regime, which led to cutting off junk food, exercising, and purging. Snake tries to reconcile with Spike because he doesn't want to be with Joey. So basically, there you go. Manny needed to lose weight for a role. Emma helps her out. Manny does well. She's lost all the weight she needed to, but Emma basically chides her for that, saying, "What are you doing?" And Manny's like, "I've lost all the weight I needed to." So practically she quits, mostly because, she's angry that Emma's taking control of this issue. So anyway, in Our Lips Are Sealed Part 2, Emma's downward spiral continues as her dangerous diet leads into a full-blown eating disorder, and it has dire consequences. Basically, Alex and Hazel try to play nice for Paige, who's tired of them being at each other's throats. So practically, it finally comes out. Emma has to admit her illicit relationship with Peter for some dumb reason. I don't know why. But anyway, Peter actually realizes that Emma might not be eating, and Manny tells her about it. So basically, they have an intervention. Emma is pissed off, and Manny wants Manny to leave the house. But then she has a panic attack and nearly dies. But thankfully, she comes out of it. Marco is interested in Total Eclipse of the Heart, episode 17, of a prospect new relationship with Tim. But when Dylan comes back into his life, he doesn't know what to do. And Liberty's overcome with guilt over giving up her baby for adoption because the family's moving away to Seattle. So basically, yeah, that's huge and all that. And of course, I got pissed off at Liberty's parents because they don't understand that Liberty might be going through postpartum syndrome. I I feel like Liberty's mom never did that and never understood what having giving birth and all that could be like painful. High Fidelity is next. It's basically the end of season 5. The students prepare for Degrassi's 50th anniversary variety show with Manny in charge. Spinner makes the mistake of lying to Darcy about his sexual past with Manny, causing issues in relationship. Paige and Alex's relationship comes to an end because Alex doesn't really have a future after graduation. It's actually hard to believe, but I think with the way Alex is talking about herself and all that, it seems that Alex was punishing herself for, being part of that Degrassi shooting thing. All that. In part 2 of High Fidelity, graduation has arrived for the class of 2006, when 2 of their former classmates return from the event. And that's Ashley, which is strange. But anyway, after his night with Paige, Spinner is torn after Darcy tells him that she wants to get back together with him. Jimmy, unfortunately, has to repeat his senior year after missing too much school while recovering from being shot and wonders if his feelings for Ellie were requited. So, yeah, I feel bad for Jimmy. All that. Because, Jimmy ends up losing it. So, yeah, great job. It was a decent graduation episode for all of them. So yeah, 19 episodes and like 12:45. That's pretty impressive. Yeah, a lot of people said season 5 was not really well written. I mean, I know that Liberty and JT's storyline could have went somewhere. Emma's storylines could have went somewhere. I mean, Paige and Alex, Alex. But you know what? Things happen for a reason, and I guess the season 5 is what happened for a reason. So anyway, that's it for season 5. Season 6 onward.